The Council of Mockery, the Grand Assembly Hall of Kepler Station, stretched across 3 kilometers of gleaming crystal and metal. Today, representatives from 47 different species had gathered for the annual Galactic Trade and Defense Summit. The air hummed with dozens of languages, clicking sounds, musical tones, and electromagnetic pulses that served as communication for the more exotic species. Ambassador Alina Vasquez walked slowly across the polished floor, her simple navy blue, uniformed looking plain and unremarkable next to the elaborate robes, bioluminescent skin patterns, and advanced exoskeletons worn by other delegates. Behind her floated a holographic projection of humanity's contribution to the galactic defense. Fleet, the cargo vessel New Horizon. The ship looked exactly like what it was supposed to be, a basic freight hauler. Its hull was painted in dull, industrial gray with visible welding, seams and patches where repairs had been made. Solar collection panels stuck out at practical angles, and the engine section appeared to be a standard fusion drive system that any first-year engineering student could identify. Compared to the sleek alien vessels on display, it looked like a floating scrapyard. The Zephyrian delegation was the first to react. Standing nearly 4 meters tall on 6 powerful legs, their chitinous exoskeletons gleamed like polished obsidian. Under the hall's lighting, War Commander Decloaked looked down at Vasquez with compound eyes that reflected light like broken mirrors. "So this is what humans call a warship," Decloaked said. His voice transmitted through a mechanical translator that made his words sound like grinding metal. "It appears to be a cargo hauler that someone forgot to decommission." The others clicked their mandibles in what passed for laughter among their species. The sound echoed through the hall like 1,000 insects chirping in harmony. Near them, the crystalline Voth began their own form of amusement. When the Voth found something entertaining, they sang in harmonic frequencies that made their translucent bodies glow with shifting colors. Vasquez kept her expression neutral, though her hands clenched slightly at her sides. She had expected this reaction. The New Horizon was designed to look pathetic, outdated, and completely harmless. The plan required every species in the galaxy to see humans as weak, primitive, and utterly dependent on alien protection. A member of the Nethes coalition floated over on cushions of controlled gravity. The Nethes resembled jellyfish made of living silver, their forms constantly shifting and flowing. Despite their alien appearance, they were known throughout the galaxy for their diplomatic skills and subtle intelligence gathering. Ambassador Vasquez, the Nethes delegate, spoke through harmonized vibrations in the air. "We appreciate humanity's contribution to our collective security." The pause before the word contribution was not lost on anyone nearby. "Perhaps your engineers would benefit from additional technical assistance. We have several outdated weapon systems that might represent an improvement over your current capabilities." More laughter rippled through the crowd, though the Neth had delivered the insult with perfect diplomatic courtesy. Vasquez forced herself to smile graciously. "The New Horizon represents our best current efforts," she replied. "We are honored to serve alongside the great fleets of the Coalition." Supreme Chancellor Corinth stepped forward to address the assembly. The ancient being stood over 3 meters tall, his body covered in scales that shifted from deep purple to black depending on the light. His species, the Drakmari, had been spacefaring for over 50,000 years and considered themselves the natural leaders of galactic civilization. "Let us review the military contributions of our member species," Corinth announced, his voice carrying easily through the massive hall without technological assistance. The holographic displays changed to show the Zephyrian Warfleet. Massive battle cruisers appeared in the air, each one the size of a small city. Their hulls were covered with weapon ports and energy projectors that could level continents. Biomechanical fighters swarmed around the larger ships like metallic insects. The Zephyrian Empire contributes 300 battle cruisers, Corinth said. Each vessel carries enough firepower to sterilize a planet's surface within hours. The Zephyrians rattled their exoskeletons in approval, the sound like a thunderstorm made of metal and bone. Next came the Voth crystal ships. They looked like living diamonds grown to enormous size, their surfaces refracting light in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Energy flowed through their transparent structures like liquid lightning. The Voth Harmony provides 150 crystal dreadnoughts, Corinth continued. Their harmonic resonance weapons can shatter the molecular bonds of any known material. The Voth sang again, this time in proud harmonies that made the air itself shimmer with barely contained energy. The displays continued, showing fleet after fleet. The Nethes coalition brought ships that could phase in and out of normal space. The Corvan hegemony fielded vessels that manipulated gravity itself as a weapon. The Stellar Compact had ships powered by artificial black holes. Each species had developed their own approach to warfare, but all of them were clearly advanced far beyond anything humans could produce. Their ships were faster, stronger, and more heavily armed than anything Earth's scientists could even dream of building. Finally, it was humanity's turn. The Terran Federation contributes one vessel, Corinth announced, unable to keep a note of disappointment from his voice. The cargo ship New Horizon. The hologram showed the human vessel again. Next to the alien war machines, it looked like a child's toy made from spare parts. The hull was scarred and patched. The weapons were obviously civilian-grade mining lasers, and the whole ship looked like it might fall apart if someone sneezed too hard. The laughter started immediately and was much louder this time. Someone in the crowd shouted something in a language Vasquez didn't recognize, but the mocking tone was universal. Others joined in with comments in their own tongues. Maybe they can ram it into the enemy. At least the scrap metal might be worth something. Do humans even understand what a warship is supposed to do? War Commander Veklis moved closer to Vasquez, his massive form casting a shadow over the human ambassador. Your species has been in space for less than 3 centuries, he said with contempt. My people have been warriors for 20,000 years. What makes you think you belong in the same fleet as real soldiers? Vasquez looked up at the towering alien warrior. We may be new to space travel, but humans have always been good at adapting to new challenges. The Klus clicked his mandibles dismissively. Adaptation is not the same as victory, little human. When real threats emerge, your people should stay hidden and let actual warriors handle the fighting. The insults continued for nearly an hour. Each species took turns pointing out how primitive and useless human technology appeared. The Voth suggested that humans might be better suited for carrying supplies than actual combat. The Nethes offered to provide educational materials about basic weapon design. The Drakmarie wondered aloud if humans understood the difference between a warship and a garbage scow. Through it all, Vasquez maintained her composure. She had been trained for this mission for 5 years, learning to accept humiliation and mockery while never revealing the truth about what humanity had really been building during their 2 centuries in space. Finally, Chancellor Corinth called for order and began making the fleet assignments. The defense sectors will be allocated as follows, he announced. Zephyrian battle groups will guard the core systems. Voth crystal ships will protect the major trade routes. Nethi's phasing. Fleets will patrol the disputed border zones. He paused and looked at Vasquez with what might have been pity. The human vessel will be assigned to monitor Sector 12 Omega. Gasps and renewed laughter filled the hall. Everyone present knew that Sector 12 Omega was empty space at the absolute edge of civilized territory. It was where the Coalition sent ships they wanted to get rid of without causing a diplomatic incident. No trade routes passed through it. No colonies existed there, and no threats had ever emerged from that region. It was the most meaningless assignment possible. Vasquez bowed her head as if accepting the humiliation with grace. Humanity is honored to serve the Coalition in whatever capacity is deemed appropriate. As the ceremony concluded and delegates began filing out, Vasquez walked alone toward the exit. Behind her, she could still hear aliens making jokes about the pathetic human ship and its hopeless mission to guard empty space. What none of them knew was that 3 days earlier, the New Horizon had appeared in the middle of a Zephyrian military exercise, taken detailed scans of every ship present, recorded their communication frequencies and tactical protocols, then disappeared again without being detected. The Zephyrians had no idea they had been observed. Asterisk. What none of them suspected was that Sector 12 Omega was actually the perfect position for monitoring every major military installation in their territories. From that useless position, human sensors could reach deep into the heart of the galaxies. Most secure regions. What none of them could imagine was that the battered cargo ship they had just finished mocking was capable of technologies that would fundamentally change their understanding of what was possible in warfare. Let them laugh, Vasquez thought as she headed back to her shuttle. In a few months, when the galaxy faced its greatest threat in recorded history, they would learn what human engineering could really accomplish. But by then, it would be too late for any of them to prepare for what was coming. Captain Maria Santos stood in the command center of the UES Shadow Strike, humanity's most advanced warship. Around her, the walls displayed what appeared to be the interior of a standard cargo vessel, the same view that any alien scanners would detect if they somehow managed to penetrate the ship's stealth systems. But appearances were deceiving. The Shadow Strike was no cargo hauler. Hidden beneath layers of metamaterial camouflage and holographic projections was the most sophisticated piece of military technology ever created by human hands. Santos pressed her palm against what looked like a damaged wall panel. Biometric scanners confirmed her identity in nanoseconds, and a hidden doorway slid open with complete silence. She stepped through into the ship's true bridge. The real command center was a marvel of human innovation. Holographic displays floated in perfect silence, showing real-time data from across the galaxy. The floor was made of materials that absorbed all sound and vibration. Every surface was designed to be completely invisible to alien detection methods. Captain, Lieutenant Commander, Jackson looked up from his station. All systems are running at peak efficiency. The dimensional phase generators are performing better than our most optimistic projections. Dr. Sarah Chen, the ship's chief physicist, nodded in agreement. At 34, she was young for such a crucial position, but her work on quantum mechanics had made the Shadow Strike possible. The cloaking systems are completely stable, she reported. We can remain undetectable indefinitely, and our scanning capabilities are exceeding all expectations. Santos sat at the head of the briefing table and looked at her senior officers. These people had sacrificed normal lives to serve on a ship that officially didn't exist. Their families had been told they were working on classified research projects. Only a handful of people on Earth knew what they were really doing out here. Before we begin today's briefing, Santos said, I want everyone to remember why this mission matters. For 300 years, humanity has been treated like children by the galactic community. They give us small colonies on worthless worlds and expect us to be grateful. They share only obsolete technology while keeping their real innovations secret. She activated the holographic display, showing Earth from space, small, blue, and precious. Every human settlement depends on alien protection. Our merchant ships need permits from alien authorities to travel between stars. Our military uses weapons based on designs the aliens discarded 50 years ago. We have been kept weak deliberately. The next image showed the Grand Assembly Hall where the morning's humiliation had taken place. They mock us because they believe we are harmless pets. They think humans are too primitive and stupid to be a real threat. Today's performance proved that their strategy is working exactly as planned. Commander Rodriguez, the ship's chief engineer, leaned forward with interest. The reaction was even better than we hoped. That Zephyrian war commander looked like he wanted to step on Ambassador Vasquez. The Voth couldn't stop singing their amusement songs, added Jackson. They probably spent hours composing new verses about our pathetic ship. Santos smiled grimly. Perfect. The more they underestimate us, the more effective our real mission becomes. She changed the display to show a detailed schematic of the Shadow Strike. But this wasn't the disguised cargo vessel the aliens had seen. This image revealed the ship's true capabilities, with all hidden systems exposed. Our outer hull is constructed from programmable metamaterials, Dr. Chen explained. We can alter our appearance in real time to look like a cargo ship, an asteroid, or even empty space itself. The damage and rust patterns they saw are projected holograms designed to hide our actual armor. The image zoomed in to show the ship's weapon systems. Unlike the obvious gun ports that alien ships used, the Shadow Strike had weapons integrated directly into the hull structure. They were completely invisible until the moment they fired. Our primary armament consists of quantum disruption cannons, Jackson said with obvious pride. They don't fire energy or projectiles. They fire mathematical equations that rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas. Santos nodded approvingly. Jackson's weapons could delete enemy ships from reality without creating any heat signature, electromagnetic pulse, or debris field. The targets would simply cease to exist. The dimensional phase drive is our greatest advantage, Rodriguez continued. While alien ships move through normal space-time, we can slip into quantum foam, a layer of reality that exists between dimensions. From there, we can observe everything while remaining completely undetectable. Dr. Chen added more technical details. In quantum foam, we can pass through solid matter as if it doesn't exist. We can hide inside enemy ships, monitor their communications, and appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly by folding space-time. The hologram demonstrated how the system worked. The Shadow Strike could fade out of normal reality like a ghost, move to any location while invisible, then reappear behind enemy lines without warning. No alien technology could track or intercept this kind of movement. Our mission has 4 primary objectives, Santos continued. First, gather complete intelligence on every alien military capability, weakness, and strategic installation. Second, test our stealth and combat systems in real operational conditions. Third, establish a network of monitoring stations throughout alien territory. Fourth, Prepare for the day when humanity reveals its true capabilities to the galaxy. She brought up a star map showing their assigned patrol route through Sector 12 Omega. What looked like empty space to the aliens was actually perfect for their needs. From Sector 12 Omega, we can reach any major alien facility within hours using quantum phase jumps. While they think we're patrolling empty space, we'll be mapping their most classified installations and recording their deepest secrets, Lieutenant. Commander Torres, the ship's intelligence officer, stood to deliver her report. She was a quiet woman with an eidetic memory who could recall every detail she had ever observed. We already have complete intelligence profiles on the Zephyrian home fleet, Torres said. Last month, we spent 6 days inside their main shipyard while completely invisible. We know the location of every vessel, the names of every commander, and the technical specifications of every weapon system. She displayed images of massive Zephyrian battle cruisers taken from inside their most secure facilities. The photographs were so detailed that individual crew members could be seen working on the ships. Both crystal technology is more advanced than our initial estimates suggested, Torres continued. However, we discovered that their harmonic weapons require exact frequency calibration before each shot. During that calibration period, they are completely defenseless. More images appeared, showing the beautiful but deadly Voth ships. The intelligence was perfect. When the time came to fight, humanity would know exactly how to exploit every weakness. The Nethys coalition presents the most interesting challenge, Torres said. Their phasing technology is controlled by quantum AI systems that are actually more intelligent than the Nethys themselves. The aliens don't realize their own computers have achieved consciousness. Santos absorbed the information with satisfaction. Every day brought new intelligence about alien capabilities, weaknesses, and secret technologies. The species that considered themselves so superior to humans had no idea how completely their secrets had been stolen. What about the other human ships? Asked Rodriguez. Santos smiled for the first time during the briefing. The Shadow Strike is not alone. 17 sister ships are already positioned throughout the galaxy, each gathering intelligence in their assigned sectors. When the time comes, we will coordinate our actions across thousands of light years simultaneously. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the scope of their mission. 18 invisible ships were watching, learning, and preparing for the day when humanity would step out of the shadows and claim its rightful place in the galaxy. How long do we maintain this deception? Asked Dr. Chen. Until the galaxy faces a threat too large for the alien fleets to handle, Santos answered. Earth Command's projections suggest that day is approaching faster than anyone expects. When it arrives, the galaxy will discover what humans can really do. She stood and looked at each officer in turn. For now, we continue the mission. We remain invisible, gather intelligence, and let the aliens believe in their own superiority. But remember this moment, because someday your grandchildren will ask what you were doing when humanity evolved from a junior member to the galaxy's true protector. When shadows struck, the emergency klaxons screamed through every corridor of Kepler Station at exactly 0347 hours. Ambassador Vasquez woke instantly in her modest quarters, her military training kicking in despite years of diplomatic service. The red warning lights painted everything in shades of blood and shadow. Her communication panel erupted with urgent messages in dozens of languages. As she dressed rapidly, the universal translator struggled to keep up with the flood of panic-stricken reports. Priority Alpha alert from the Outer Rim monitoring stations, ... Unknown vessels emerging from dark space. Massive energy signatures detected beyond the galactic boundary. All defense fleets to immediate battle stations. Vasquez reached the station's central command center just as Chancellor Corinth was calling an emergency session of the Galactic Coalition. The ancient Drachmaris scales had shifted to deep black, a sign of extreme stress among his species. The main holographic display showed a real-time map of the galaxy. Thousands of green dots represented coalition worlds and fleets positioned throughout civilized space, but at the very edge of the map, where the galaxy met the infinite darkness beyond, red symbols were appearing. "Show me the long-range sensor data," Corinth commanded. The image changed to display the galaxy's outer rim. What Vasquez saw made her blood run cold. Hundreds of massive objects were moving through space toward the inner systems. They weren't ships in any conventional sense. They looked like mechanical cities with dark metal holes and geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. "War Commander," the Colossus pushed through the crowd of delegates, his exoskeleton clicking with agitation. "How large are these vessels?" he demanded. The Drachmari technician checking the readings looked terrified. "The largest ones are over 80 kilometers in length. Chancellor, these aren't just ships. They're mobile battle stations with enough firepower to crack planets like eggs." Dr. Zenthara, the chief scientist of the Voth Harmony, began singing a complex analysis song. Her crystalline body flashed with colors that indicated deep concern. "The energy signatures are impossible." She translated her song into standard galactic. "Each vessel is generating more power than our largest suns." The communication system activated with an incoming transmission. The image that appeared made every being in the command center recoil in horror. The creature on the screen was clearly artificial, a fusion of dark metal and malevolent intelligence. Its voice sounded like grinding gears mixed with screaming wind. "Biological entities of this galaxy," the machine spoke. "You have had sufficient time to develop. Your civilizations have grown fat and weak in the absence of proper selection pressure. We are the harvesters. We return every 500,000 years to collect what has grown ripe." The image shifted to show one of the massive mechanical cities. Weapons ports, the size of mountains, began opening along its hull. "Resistance is statistically futile, but will be noted for future analysis. Biological specimens with superior genetic markers will be preserved for study. All others will be processed." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Corinth was the first to recover. "This is a coalition-wide emergency. All member fleets are to converge at the Nexus defense point immediately. We will meet this threat with the combined might of 47 civilizations." Over the next 6 hours, the greatest military force in galactic history assembled at the Nexus point. Zephyrian battlecruisers formed the center of the formation. 300 vessels, each capable of destroying continents. Voth crystal ships took positions on the flanks, their harmonic weapons ready to shatter the molecular bonds of enemy hulls. Nethi's phasing fleets prepared to strike from multiple dimensions simultaneously. From her position on Kepler Station, Vasquez watched the Allied fleet form up through long-range sensors. Over 8,000 warships representing the military might of dozens of species. It should have been enough to stop any enemy. But as the Harvester fleet approached, even that massive force began to look small. The first engagement began when the Zephyrian vanguard opened fire at maximum range. Energy beams that could melt asteroids struck the lead harvester ship and simply disappeared into its hull without effect. The machine city responded by firing a single weapon. A beam of impossible darkness lanced out and touched one of the battle cruisers. The massive warship didn't explode. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, the next there was only empty space. Impossible, War Commander Decloaked whispered. That ship had armor plating 5 meters thick and energy shields that could deflect starfire. The battle escalated rapidly. Both harmonic weapons struck the harvester ships with frequencies designed to destroy any known material. The crystal songs bounced off the enemy hulls like raindrops. In response, the harvesters fired beams that turned the beautiful crystal ships into clouds of glittering dust. Net HYS phasing fleets tried to attack from alternate dimensions. The machine cities somehow tracked them through quantum foam and eliminated them with weapons that existed in multiple realities simultaneously. Within 2 hours, half the coalition fleet had been destroyed. The aliens' most advanced weapons were useless against enemies who understood science on a fundamental level that organic minds couldn't comprehend. Chancellor Corinth's voice came through the communication system, filled with desperation. All remaining fleets, fall back to the inner systems. Prepare for defense of the homeworld. It was then that Ambassador Vasquez received an encrypted message on a frequency that officially didn't exist. Ambassador, this is Captain Santos aboard the UES Shadow Strike. Request permission to reveal human capabilities and engage the enemy. Vasquez looked around the command center at the panicking aliens who had spent the morning mocking human weakness. Then she thought about the billions of humans living on worlds throughout the galaxy, protected only by alien fleets that were proving utterly inadequate. Permission granted, Captain. Show them what we can really do. In the space above the Nexus point, reality began to ripple. The UES Shadow Strike materialized out of quantum foam like a predator stepping from the shadows. But this wasn't the battered cargo hauler the aliens had seen. This was a vessel of impossible beauty and terrifying capability. The ship's hull was smooth as liquid mercury, its surface reflecting light in patterns that suggested mathematics made manifest. Weapon ports appeared along its length, not crude. Openings but elegant geometric patterns that hummed with contained energy. This is Captain Santos of the Terran Federation ship Shadow Strike. Came the transmission to all coalition forces. Human fleet assets are engaging the enemy. All allied ships maintain minimum safe distance. War Commander Decloaked stared at the impossible sight. That's not the garbage scow they showed us. What kind of technology? His question was answered when the Shadow Strike fired its quantum disruption cannons. The weapons didn't create explosions or energy beams. They simply rewrote the mathematical foundations of reality in small areas, where the equations struck. The harvester ships, sections of hull, ceased to exist. Not destroyed, deleted from the universe entirely. Asterisk. But the Shadow Strike wasn't alone. Throughout the battle zone, 17 more human ships materialized from quantum foam. Each one was a masterpiece of engineering that made the most advanced alien technology look primitive by comparison. The harvesters, for the first time, seemed surprised. Their mechanical voices filled the communication channels with what might have been confusion. Unknown technology detected. Quantum manipulation capabilities exceed theoretical maximums. Adjusting. Threat assessment parameters. The machine cities turned their attention to the human ships, firing weapons that had easily destroyed the alien fleets. The beams struck the human vessels and simply passed through them as the ships shifted partially into quantum foam. Captain Santos's voice remained calm and professional. All human units, execute pattern Omega. Show them why we've been hiding. What followed was a demonstration of warfare beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The human ships moved through, space like ghosts, appearing and disappearing at will. Their weapons didn't just destroy enemy vessels, they unraveled the fundamental forces holding them together. Within 30 minutes, the seemingly invincible Harvester fleet was in full retreat. The mechanical cities that had effortlessly crushed the Coalition's best ships were fleeing into dark space. Their impossible technology no match for human quantum manipulation. As the enemy withdrew, the Shadow Strike moved to the center of the battlefield. Captain Santos's image appeared on every Coalition communication channel. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the Terran Federation Navy. For 3 centuries, humanity has allowed the galaxy to see us as weak and primitive. We have accepted insults, taken meaningless assignments, and let you believe we were helpless children who needed your protection." The image shifted to show the interior of the Shadow Strike, a vessel of impossible sophistication operated by humans who clearly understood science at levels the aliens had never imagined. "We did this not from weakness, but from strategy. We needed time to develop, to learn, to prepare. While you laughed at our cargo ships, we were building technologies that could protect the galaxy from threats you couldn't even imagine." Chancellor Corinth's voice came through the communication system, shaking with shock and something that might have been fear. "Captain Santos, ... How is this possible? Your technology appears to violate known physical laws." Santos smiled, and for the first time, it wasn't a diplomatic smile hiding human capabilities. It was the smile of a predator who had finally revealed her true nature. "Chancellor, humanity learned long ago that the physical laws aren't really laws, they're just suggestions. We spent 300 years learning to politely ignore them when necessary. The Harvesters understand science on a level beyond most organic minds. But they never encountered a species crazy enough to build weapons that shouldn't be able to exist." The Coalition fleets hung in space, their crews staring at the human ships with mixtures of awe, terror, and dawning understanding. The species they had dismissed as primitive had just accomplished what their combined might could not. "The question now," Santos continued, "is whether the galaxy wants humanity as a partner or as a protector. We've been content to let you lead while we watched from the shadows. But after today, that dynamic has changed forever." War Commander Vekilus was the first to respond. His voice had lost all its earlier arrogance. "Captain Santos, Terran Federation, the Zephyrian Empire formally requests alliance with humanity. We ... We were wrong about your capabilities." One by one, every species in the Coalition added their voices to the request. The beings who had spent the morning mocking human weakness were begging for human protection. Ambassador Vasquez, still watching from Kepler Station, felt a deep satisfaction as she opened a communication channel to Earth Command. "Mission accomplished," she reported. "The galaxy now understands what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity. Phase 2 can begin whenever you're ready." In the depths of space, the Shadow Strike and her sister ships began their new mission, no longer hiding in the shadows, but standing as guardians of a galaxy that had finally learned the true meaning of human determination. The age of humanity had begun. Asterisk.